Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast but didn't know where to start? Well, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor is your one-stop shop for podcasting. They have tools that you can edit, add music, all right from your phone or your computer. They'll even distribute your podcast so that it can be heard everywhere like Spotify, Apple, and even on Google. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Good morning, everybody. This is Morning Coffee.
It's time to pour it, stir it up, and serve it up. This is the Morning Coffee Podcast Show, your unofficial wake-up call. Here to help you live your best life and revolutionize your relationships, faith, inspiration, and love. Start your day the right way with Morning Coffee. Here's your host, Tanisha R. Atkins.
Good morning, everybody. You are tuned in to the Morning Coffee Live Show. I'm the host, Tanisha R. Atkins, here with another great episode for you on this fantabulous Tuesday morning. Well, as you know, Morning Coffee is your unofficial wake-up call on a mission to provoke you to change and spiritual growth so that you can live your best life and revolutionize your relationships. So welcome over to my podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, I do want to encourage you to check out seasons 1, 2, 3. And so you can catch up with the podcast and find out what we're all about here at Morning Coffee. Well, we are in the middle of season 4. This season we're talking about we're all in this together, meaning your family, your friends, your coworkers, your organizations, whatever group or anything that you're a part of, whatever function, team, whatever you're a part of, we want to help you to adapt the mindset of being in that unit together, walking together, functioning together as one man. Because like we talked about yesterday on the show, that there is power in agreement. Well, we started a brand new series called Parental Advisory, Beware of the Parent Trap. And so we're going to continue with that series today. Today I want to talk to you about how to correct your children in love. Listen, as parents, sometimes, we don't always get it right. Sometimes we take our frustrations out on our children based on things that happen in our day, things that have happened in our life, even some things that have happened in our childhood. And if you're not careful as a parent, you can really take those things out on your children and you can harm them. You can harm their emotions. You can harm their spirit, and you have to just be very mindful. And so, when you're correcting your children, you want to make sure that you are correcting them in love. You never want to just beat on a child or belittle a child to the point where they are just feeling low. We talked about this all series long. Just because they're children, they're still people. They're people just like we're people. They're just smaller people. And just like we have emotions, they have emotions. Just like we have feelings, they have feelings. And we have to be mindful when we're handling our children that, first of all, the Bible says whatever you sow, you're going to reap. So if you're handling your child in a negative way, in a hostile way, you're sowing bad seeds into that child. And I believe that it's only going to be a matter of time before you may receive that same treatment. And you can't always dictate and control where that treatment is going to come from. It can come from someone you know. It can come from someone that you don't know. It can come unexpectedly. It can come at the wrong time. And it can also damage your emotions, damage your spirit. And you just have to be mindful, do unto others as you will have them to do unto you. And so as parents, have to think about if you're in a situation where someone is over you, like your boss or your pastor or your team leader, and you make a mistake or you do something that maybe you shouldn't do. Maybe it wasn't a mistake. Maybe you done it intentionally. and they have to correct you, how do you want to be handled? Do you want them yelling at you and telling you that you're just a no good worker and that, you're worth nothing, you're sorry? Nope, because you have feelings and you have emotions, and even though what you knew was wrong, you still expect to be treated with some type of respect, at a level of respect, and your children expect the same thing from you. You have to be mindful. We're losing our children because we're failing in the correction and in correcting them properly. The Bible says, fathers, don't provoke your children. So we know that children, sometimes they're going to act foolish. Sometimes children are just going to miss the mark just like we do. But again, remember, the Bible says when you train up a child in the way that they should go. So that means that, okay, child, you missed this mark. This was not the way that you should go. So as your parent, first of all, when you're correcting your children, you have to make sure that they are aware of what the expectation was. So a lot of us just assume that children are supposed to just know. You're supposed to just know because we think children can read our minds. Children will follow order where there is order most of the time. When you have spent time training and, correcting as you go and not waiting. Some of us wait too long to correct our children. But if you correct as you go, excuse me, it will help you to better be able to get that child under control. And when you see them getting out of line, it'll help you to quickly be able to get them back in line. So what are some ways we can correct children? Of course, we can, first of all, have expectations of what is expected from the child. So make sure that is understood in the child. Make sure that the child is aware of what the expectation is. And number 2, making sure that you are communicating when you start to see that child again getting off of that path. Making sure that you are sending warning shots, saying, hey, I noticed that. But again, you have to be in tune with your children to notice that. And again, that's some of the problem. Some of us are asleep at the wheel and we're not noticing little things because we're asleep at the wheel and we're on autopilot. So being in tune with your children, making sure that you're checking upon them from their schoolwork to whatever chores they have, and setting the expectation. This is what's expected, and following through, communicating. Why wasn't this done? Letting them know this was not okay. This is what I expect to happen. All right. So then, after you do that, you can also resort in maybe some punishment. Taking something away from them. Not anything like schoolwork or activities, because some people, when we punish children from the wrong things, can we be honest and say that? Some of us are punishing children from things that they don't care anything about. But maybe I'm not going to say, let me reword that. Not taking away or punishing them, but taking away the distractions, removing the distractions. Let me say it like that, because sometimes it could be a possibility that children can't focus because there's a distraction. Sometimes those distractions are spending too much time with friends, too much time outside playing, too much time playing the video games, too much time going out to the movies and all that stuff. Sometimes those things can serve as a distraction, because why are you getting to do all these rewarding, fun things when you have not met the expectation of what you're supposed to meet? And that's not being cruel. That's training to say, hey, your focus is all over the place. So we're going to remove some of these distractions so that you can be focused and clear about where you are, where you're supposed to be, and what is it going to take for you to get back in line, especially when it comes to schoolwork. You definitely should not be letting your children just hang all outside and hang all out with friends and just, all over the place on the weekends when you're getting reports back that, hey, she's not doing her work in school. He's not doing his work. He's giving the teacher problems. There definitely should be some correction corrective action taking place, or whatever is agreed upon within your household. And I'm saying this because before you get to the corporal punishment part, you have to make sure that you as a parent, or you have to make sure that you're doing your job to communicate and check up on these things, and that you are being the adult, removing the distractions, identifying, staying on them. Now, if it's just to the point where you've tried all that and the child is just still cutting up, well, then we know the Bible says to spare the rod and you spoil the child. Sometimes the children have to have spankings, We can't beat them, beat them into submission, but it's the rod of correction. You're doing this because I need to correct you with this. And I know some of us in this day and age, we don't like the spankings, but the Bible is the Bible. The Bible said what it said. Many of us grew up, we got spankings, and some of us would not be the responsible adults that we are today if we had not have had those little spankings. And maybe some of us feel like, well, geez, my spankings weren't little, my spankings were a lot. But either way, you got the memo. Our parents weren't perfect either, and what you can do is just making sure that if you do feel like your parents was doing too much, that making sure that you don't do that to your child, and then telling them why I'm spanking you. Don't just walk up to the child and just start spanking them. You having a conversation. This is the resort. I have talked to you. I have removed the distractions from you. I've talked to you over and over again. I've sat down. We've done all of that. We've had meetings, whatever. Now we're at that place where this is what I have to do. And I know some of you say, I'm not doing all that. I'm just going to spank my child and call it a day. I can sometimes get with that because sometimes in the moment, children can just do some things that could just totally try you, especially when they're doing something that can really put them in harm's way, and you react with a spanking because you want them to know that immediately this was dangerous. I don't have time to talk to you and correct you. Right now, I need to spank you. So I get that. You do have to have a balance with it, but I'm just saying, making sure that your children know that you love them and that you're not just beating on them or having them to do a bunch of chores just because they're children, but that this is all a part of training them to be adults, training them to be leaders, and not, we have to make sure that that's a big thing. That's a big thing right there. A lot of us grow with that mentality, just clean up and do this because I said so. You tell your children, the reason why mama have you doing this, the reason why dad have you doing this, because dad wants you to be able to take care of your own family when you become an adult. And so dad wants to make sure that you know how to change the pipes, or you know how to empty the trash, or whatever. When you do it that way, you give your children just a sense of family, just a sense of responsibility. You teach them. Mama will just see me and never do the laundry because she didn't feel like doing it, even though sometimes that may be the case. But, you have to, you got to kind of psych kids out sometimes and really feel like, I know that you can handle the laundry. You're old enough now. I want to teach you how to cook. And we don't train them. Who's going to train them? And that's what you have to tell yourself. You want to train them right. You do it out of love. And I believe that you can raise championship children. Well, that's all I have for you this morning. We are still going to wrap up this particular series this week on parental advisory. Beware of the parent trap. I am still working on getting my mom on the show. We're still working on to keep our fingers crossed that she's going to make her appearance one day this week. So thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Be sure to catch us live every morning. We're usually on at about 6:30 a.m. You can also sometimes catch us at midnight for the replay. And make sure that you're following us on social media at Facebook and YouTube and Instagram at Morning Coffee Live Show. We are on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is Start Your Day Off. Well, I'm Tanisha R. Atkins, and I'll be back tomorrow with another great episode. Have a great day.
Every day I wake up with purpose, starting my day with faith and inspiration. Wouldn't have it no other way. Live, laugh, love. Let's make the world better. Give somebody a hug. Let's bring the world back together. With morning coffee, let's have morning Start your day with faith, inspiration, and love. Start your day with faith, inspiration, and love.